As a parent, do you worry each and every time your young athlete takes to the playing field about what it would be like if an incident occurred during play resulting in a head injury? Not playing is not an option. Here at KBRZ Sports Radio, we share in your concerns and efforts to keep our young athletes safe and healthy. They are our future, and we must do our jobs as parents, coaches, and a radio station to promote keeping that future safe by offering a tried and true solution: functional cognitive baseline testing. We all have various abilities in cognition or brain function. Without a baseline, there is no way to truly indicate a problem caused by a concussion or head trauma. Let's face it, with all our sports heroes now coming forward with issues from head injuries suffered from the game, this is a risk none of us can afford. Check out temr.net for more information. That's temr.net.
And now it's time for Make It Happen with David Lorms. He is an award-winning insurance expert, best-selling author, and business owner talking about how to make your life, your career, and business better. Here's David.
Welcome back to another episode of Make It Happen with David Lorms. And I'm excited today to have our guest, Jennifer Barrientez, who is the new principal of Lulu Stevens Elementary School in Oak Forest. And she's brand new to all of us, so I'm excited to hear what she has to say. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, first of all, before I met you, I noticed that your name was Jennifer Masterson, Ellison, Barrientez, Jingleheimer Smith. So can you tell me, what are all those names?
Masterson is my maiden name. Ellison was my previous married name. I divorced a few years back, and now Barrientez is my new remarried name. I am, considered a newlywed. I got married in October.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
You can send gifts to
Yes.
Stevens Elementary.
I love chocolate and flowers. Tulips.
That's wonderful. But before you remarried, you have two children from previous marriage, right?
Yes, I have Grace, who's 7, and Caden, who's 4. Gracie will be in 2nd grade. And Caden will start preschool, pre-K. So they're great. My daughter is very much her mother, so that's a big headache. She got the teacher look down already. And my son is a mama's boy. So.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, so Barrientez, people might think you speak Spanish, but you don't.
I do not. And I apologize.
Well, you know hola and
yes.
baño and stuff like that.
As my husband always says, ¿qué?
Does your husband speak Spanish?
No, and actually that's something we talked about when we got married. His father is Hispanic and his mother is African American. So, the difficulties he's dealt with being a biracial child, and I can really relate to, feeling kind of awkward at myself as growing up. And so, but he explained to me that his father, grandfather worked hard to get them here, and it was, you were going to learn English. And so he was too busy working hard for the family, working in a plant. And so when, he didn't have time to teach them Spanish, and he really wanted them to fit in with the culture of English. So
sure.
He just didn't bother. So he kind of missed out on that, but he also appreciates his father having that outlook of, you're going to learn this country's language. So he's still, one of the things I deal with is communicating with his extended family too. So it's not that difficult. They know a little bit of English.
Well, we're going to find out many reasons why you're a perfect fit for the principal position at Stevens Elementary, but I think this is perfect too. Even though you don't speak Spanish, you do come from a biracial family, and you have experience with dealing with people in other languages, and even though you don't speak Spanish, you've been able to communicate other ways, and I think that's perfect for this school. So that's one reason. The listeners probably don't know, but you and I first met when you were going through the interviewing process at HISD, and I was one of the folks that was listening, and I have to say you were an extremely strong candidate. We had some folks interview that did speak Spanish, and you were so strong that it didn't matter. So I have to give you kudos to that.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about some of those credits going further. But let's learn a little bit more about you. And you said that your parents are from New Caney, right? But you didn't grow up there.
No.
Where did you grow up?
In Spring Klein area. I went to Klein ISD growing up. mostly, and then ended up in a private school and a senior in high school. David's making some weird notions, so he's confusing me.
Sorry, I couldn't hear. I wanted to hear better.
Oh, I can't hear either, so.
Okay. So, so your parents are from New Caney, but you were Spring Klein, was because you went to a special school.
No, I went to Klein ISD. I just said it when I finally graduated. I went to a Christian school.
Okay.
Sweetwater Christian.
Okay. Well, thank God for that.
But no, my parents met in high school, New Caney. My dad went straight to the police academy. He was a retired HPD officer. And my mother did some community college, but was pretty much a stay-at-home mom. And one of the things I guess we could talk about later, but my parents at an early age, you're going to school. They didn't, the struggles.
It was never a choice.
Never a choice.
Knew.
And it was, never even a question in my head when they put that in there. I'm going to go to college and do something with my life. Didn't even have that thought or hesitation. And so I'm very much a driven person. And once I get that set in my head, I'm going to do it. And so college, a lot of kids go through the whole first love, boyfriend in high school, and they think about, what can I do now with them? I was like, no, I'm going to school. You can do whatever you want. But I'm going to go to college and do what I need to do to make sure that, and I wanted to be a teacher at an early age. So never questioned what I wanted to do either. And,
really? You already knew that you wanted to be a teacher?
I think it comes with, I played sports since I was 3. I played basketball. And so I had that kind of team or coaching in me. I wanted to be a coach. And so I knew that I wanted to help kids. And, like I said, I grew up kind of awkward. Even though we were middle class, we were very much lower middle class. And we were in the Klein area, was a very prominent area then. And so being around a lot of high income kids, but not being there fitting in.
Right.
So I really fit in with the lower income or the kids that were a minority. I really felt like I fit in with them. And I think that's why I feel comfortable at a minority school too. I understand growing up how they might not feel like they can get the best education and do something with their lives.
Because you lived it.
Yeah. And so, seeing that, but I think people like, we talked before, I'm this white lady, and how can I've gone through trials and everything in my life the same way as everybody else. Might have not looked the same, but, we've all had a path that we've walked down, and I'm very thankful for it and have been exposed to certain things. So.
Well, I do think that that's key. Yes, you are Caucasian, but the prior principal was too. Mm-hmm. And even though you don't speak Spanish, and the majority of the students there come from Spanish-speaking homes, it's about teaching those students mm-hmm. English. So, and we'll get into that a little bit more later, but what I really wanted to ask you is, you talked about how your parents instilled the thought that there was never a choice, you were always going to go to college. Don't you think that's important for parents to do, whether or not they think they're going to be able to afford it or not? Because if you know you're going to do it, you find a way to make it happen, mm-hmm. right?
Yes. And that's basically, actually, our motto for Stevens this year is make it happen. So I love that that's kind of the show, too.
Yes.
Previous motto at another school was make it happen, too. And I think, it was, and they were very much in the mindset, if you're going to school, we'll help you out. Yes. I didn't have to get a job. That was my job. And so that's something I try to instill in the students. Like, your job is to come here every day and work hard. And we're going to take care of you as much as we can outside that. If it's helping you and helping your family, so you can focus on your education. But yes, they instilled that very much of, you're going to do this no matter what, we'll make it happen.
I think that's important for kids to have that kind of goal that's just burned into their brain. You're not finished at high school. Mm-hmm. You've got some more school to go to, and that's it. And for me, that's what my parents did. And so I didn't know where the money was coming from. And my parents divorced, so they said it was paid for, and then that changed. Mm-hmm. So luckily we got through, but I always knew I was going to go to college. And believe it or not, between all of my parents and my kids, I'm the only one that has just one college degree. So that goes to show you, mm-hmm. if you instill that in the kids, they're going to do it. Now, so after high school, you went to Concordia
University in Austin.
And you got a scholarship.
I got a partial scholarship to play basketball there.
And you're straight?
Yes, David. I am married to a Barrientez.
Just wondering, sports.
I said I played basketball.
I don't see you wearing flannel, but do you rotate your own tires? I don't know.
I can, and we'll talk about my hobbies later. So.
Okay, I'm just kidding. But that's a great way to go to school. Scholarship, right? So
yes.
You went there and you majored in?
Education.
Because you knew you always...
No question.
And how did you do in school?
I was very much, I think because my whole family is very sports oriented. And so it was play sports, education is okay. It wasn't like really pushed though, but I knew I had to do it. And I was very much an underachiever. Like I could do well, but I was one of those people that kind of sat back and did as much as I could. And that's something that I see in kids today that I think if I had those teachers that ignited a passion for learning in me, and that's what I want to do for the kids at Stevens or kids anywhere that I'm at, is making sure they know that they have that passion for learning and they don't just accept, I can do it, it's easy. So I really want to make sure our teachers are pushing our kids in Stevens. But
you must have had a passion for basketball or sports.
I did.
Because you did very well in it. Mm-hmm. And that's good.
Yeah, and I it's funny because people are like, let's go play. People I've seen, they're like, when's the last time you played? I was like, well, how old's my daughter? 7 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
It's just when you get kids, it changes.
It does, doesn't it? Okay, so Spring Klein, you went to school, then Concordia in Austin, and then you did your master's.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually transferred to Sam Houston. I came back home to Houston to help my family out. They were going through some stuff, and so I said, I really need to be home. So I transferred to Sam Houston, finished my bachelor's there.
Were you living there? Or?
I was living in Klein area,
okay,
driving every other day.
Gosh,
yes.
Okay.
I'd love to commute. I'm a Houstonian.
We have to keep notes here of all these places where you've been.
Yes. It's allowed me a lot of experiences, though. I said I've never been out of Texas, but I've been a lot of places
that's good, yes.
all the Houston area,
too. A lot of communities, that's right. Okay, so you got your master's, and but where do you live now?
I live in Clear Lake.
Oh, my God. Do you have to take the space shuttle to work?
I wish it'd be faster.
It's a long way. But you said you're used to commuting.
I am. So, when I came back to Houston, I commuted to Sam Houston, and then even my first job, I lived, my family were nice enough to give me a house they had in New Caney, and lived there and commuted to my first job in Cold Spring as a teacher. And so that was still I'm pretty good with the 30-minute commute, so I'm okay with that. Anything past that, we better start moving. But, that's one reason I moved to Clear Lake to, I got married and we meshed our family together. So it was an in-between place where he was from Sweeney, his mother was there, and she actually moved in with us because she has some health issues. And so it was the closest between my family and his family to move to Clear Lake.
So there's no plans to move?
No. We bought that house. I'm signing it with blood because I'm not moving again.
Well, that's all right, but the commute doesn't sound too bad.
No, it's not.
To Clear Lake. Okay, so you live in Clear Lake, and you've got your master's, and what was your first job?
So it was my first job or my first teaching job?
Your first job.
My first job is, I said my family's in sports, so my parents were referees, scorekeepers at the YMCA.
Oh, that's cool.
In Cyper Fair. And so I started working there doing scorekeeping or refereeing volleyball when I got older. So that was pretty much my first job, and that's pretty the only job that I had for a long time. I would come home and referee volleyball tournaments for Springer Klein ISD. Because my dad would do the scheduling, and so I would help out. And you can make some really good money. Like, I get $400 for a weekend of
that's pretty good.
Not doing that, standing there watching my dad blow the whistle.
Well, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that you learn a lot from playing team sports. It's not just about sports. It's not just about competition. It's about how well you play or get along with others, right? And tell me more what you think about that then.
Well, because people always ask, well, how'd you become a principal? I never thought I would be a principal. I knew I always wanted to be a teacher. I thought I'd end up doing curriculum, which is what I did previously at Harmony, but never thought I'd be a principal. But looking back, when you play that team sport, you are a leader. And I was never one of those verbal leaders, but I was more like the silent type. I was there to support my teammates, give them whatever they wanted. But I'm not one of those outwardly people, like, I really got to get to know you, which might not seem like this right now because I'm very talkative. But so I was more like a silent leader. But looking back, one of the things I talked about in the interview was, I really believe in supporting the teachers. And I think that's because I have that sense of team already instilled in me. And we're going to work together. And I'm going to help you any way I can as long as we're working as a team and we're growing. I'm there for you. I got your back. So
yeah. Well, we're going to talk more about that in our next segment. I wanted to tell the listeners that please tweet your questions to @DavidL2490 so we can ask Jennifer some of your anonymous questions in case you want to know something else. And we'll be back right after these messages. Do you trust your insurance agent? Hi, my name is David Lorms. Anyone can sell you insurance, but I have the unique perspective and experience of being a former claims professional. It's when you need to use your insurance that you really depend on a seasoned professional where customer satisfaction is number one. I can be reached at 713-688-8669, and all calls are rolled to my personal cell phone after hours. You can also visit lormsinsuranceservices.com. Hey, I have to sleep at night, so I need to make sure you're covered.
The Fort Bend Playbook is live this summer for an hour and a half every Thursday from 4 to 5:30 p.m.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I think Coach Fleming has different expectations. Therefore, you got to look good, you play good, you feel good.
I've seen Cody Cunningham's tape from this spring. He seems to have more confidence inside the pocket.
Join Aston Jean Lewis and M.A. Pate as they continue their coverage of Fort Bend ISD athletics, only on KBRZSports.com.
This is David Altenburn of Altenburn & Associates, a litigation-based law firm here in Houston that handles personal injury, divorce, business law consulting and litigation, and criminal law matters. We work hard for the justice our clients deserve, earning client trust and opponent respect one case at a time. I'm honored to have been selected top lawyers for the people, top lawyers, and ask the expert in personal injury for the Lawyers of Houston directory. Call us today, 713-961-8012. Website, attorneyaltenburn.com.
KBRZ Sports Radio strives to bring our listeners the most up-to-date, comprehensive high school varsity sports coverage available in the Fort Bend County area. We're committed to providing the latest news and information on standings, statistics, schedules, team and school information, as well as community-focused programs. Our programs allow our advertisers the opportunity to share information about their products and services with our audience. Advertisers can target their ideal customers, build brand awareness and customer loyalty, grow their businesses, and partner with a company that is rooted and committed to the Fort Bend County community. For advertising information, call Russ Johns at 206-930-7440 or log on to www.kbrzsports.com.
And we're talking with Jennifer Barrientez, who is the new principal at Lulu Stevens Elementary School in Oak Forest. And before the break, we were talking about some of your jobs that you had before your first teaching job. But let's talk about your first teaching job. Tell me about that.
I actually graduated in December from Sam Houston because of my whole transferring. And so my actual first teaching job, I was considered a long-term sub for one of the teachers that was leaving. So I only had like 2 months experience right when I got out of school. It was hard getting in December. But
right.
So my first official year was in Cold Spring Oakhurst ISD.
Okay, we need to put that down on the list.
Way up north. And I don't even know how I ended up there, but when I went to interview, the principal at the time goes, "Oh, I see you played sports, and I was somewhat interested in coaching, but I really knew I wanted to do younger kids. I didn't really want middle school." She's like, "Hey, they need a middle school coach. You want to go meet with the athletic director?" I was like, "Sure." And so one of the reasons I took the job was because they allowed me to teach elementary and coach middle school my first year.
At the same time?
Yes.
Wow, what an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. And so it was great because I didn't have to teach middle school, which I did in the long run, but I just coached. I had an assistant that actually was there, and so she did athletic period, and then I would go out for school and work with them. And we actually were very successful. I ended up they used to joke because we went to tournaments. They're like, "Oh my God, y'all are like amazing," because we only had 7 players by the end. very hard. I have very high expectations on not only my students but my players as well. And so only the tough ones survived, but they ended up doing quite well in tournaments and in placing and in district as well. And so it was an amazing opportunity just to see those young ladies grow. But then also to be able to teach. I started third grade. Math and science was my first job there, and I remember my first mentor teacher that I had was my partner across the hallway, Miss Johnson, who's retired since. Amazing person, and I would never have been the leader that I am today without her.
How did she impact you?
She was just one of those, and she's so opposite of me too. Like, I'm very organized, structured. Kids need to be quiet unless it's that time, or talking, right, collaborating, but she was very global, and the kids were around the room, but she knew what they were doing, and she was just, her love and passion for the kids, I saw that, and she, wasn't well off herself, but she gave everything to these students.
Yes.
And she would bring whatever resources she needed in, and, just the fact, too, that I remember when I started, I never had anybody be like really encouraging, pushing, motivating in that aspect of teaching. Sports, yeah, but academically and stuff like that, I never had that. And so she was very supportive. Oh, yeah, you got the right thinking. You're doing the right thing. And so without that encouragement my first year, I think I would have, burned out or ended up leaving education after so long. But she really helped ignite and continue igniting that passion that I had for kids. And that's why I think I'm so big on supporting teachers, because I know what a principal can do and what people can do when they motivate each other.
Well, because it happened to you, and it made a big impact on you. I noticed during the interview process that some of the teachers that were in the group, when they heard you talk about how you felt about supporting the teachers, they were all shaking their head yes, like, yes, this is the one.
And I think, too, I am a teacher. Like I said, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I'm a teacher at heart, and I'm not in the classroom to teach students, but I can teach teachers. And, I think I talked about in the interview, I can teach you how to teach reading, math, science. I can teach you all those best practices, how to have effective instruction. I can't teach you to have a passion for kids and love kids and do what's best for them. So that has to be instilled in you. But I can teach you other things, and I can continue to ignite that passion inside of you by motivating you and giving you those little things. Like I like to say, teachers love gene days or food. And so giving those little things and taking care of them in those little ways, I think I can support the teachers and making sure there's systems in place as well as another one. So.
Right. So how long were you there at that job?
3 years? It's all a blur. How old am I now?
Right. So what did you do next?
So 3 years I was there. I taught math, third grade, and then we did self-contained. So I taught all subjects, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to teach reading. I'm a math and science person. That is what I'm comfortable with. I'm very analytical, love numbers. Reading, I was like, I didn't want to do it, but I loved it when I ended up teaching it
what grades were these?
That was third grade.
Okay.
So because I had my kids all day, I love the departmentalized, and that's really what I believe in, teachers teaching to their specialty. But I loved having my kids all day. I'm very like I am with you. I'm very joking with them. We had a great time. I believe in students having fun while they're learning.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't be a sit and get. I hate that.
Right.
And so we had a really fun, engaging time. And then my last year there, I had a new principal that second year. LaTanya Goffney, who's actually the superintendent of, she just moved there last year, so I'm going to Lufkin ISD.
Oh, okay.
And so she really is the one that started pushing, oh, you have it in you to be a leader. You have it in you to be a principal. She started pulling me in on things, let me sit on meetings. She made me the math specialist, and so I did math lab and brought in the at-risk kids and taught them. And then I had a lot of jobs at that time. Small school, so technology facilitator, did all the technology. We actually ran a grant too, presented to teachers. And she really saw that in me and pushed it on. So I was not very sure that I still wanted to be a principal until after that last year of being a math lab or math specialist. And she's like, you really need to go get your master's. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go get it in curriculum and instruction. And she's like, no, because if you really want to do curriculum instruction, you're going to have that mid-management certificate anyways, principal certificate. So you should just go get your master's in education administration. I was like, okay, I really don't think that's what she was like, it's going to be better in the long run. But after having that experience and then going through school and then having other experiences, I knew I really wanted to be a principal. And I saw how she was with the staff, very caring, built a relationship, a rapport with us, but was also very stern and had high expectations. And I was like, I can do that. I can have that relationship, because I think you go into teaching, you're like, oh, the principal sits in their office and they're authoritative and they tell you what to do, and that's not how I believe, and that's not what she believed in. And seeing how she interacted with us, and she had that relationship and had us, set high expectations for our students, I was like, oh, I can do that. That's the kind of principal I can be. But I wasn't made to sit in a office and tell people what to do.
Well, you were lucky enough to have a principal that set an example for you that you could relate to and ignited your passion, as you said earlier, to become a principal. So what did you do next after that?
So, are we charting the map? Yeah. When she started pushing me to go get my master's, I went back, and actually that's when I married my first husband, and at that time met him he actually worked at the school as well. We went and got our master's together, and I always joked, if we could do this together, we could do anything. Well, I shouldn't have said that. I jinxed myself. So, in conversations with her, she's like, it's a small district. I really don't know where you can move up to. Maybe you should look at going somewhere else. And also, it was a small district. They didn't pay a lot. So starting a family, the conversation with my then husband was, maybe we need to move somewhere else that pays a little bit more so we can start a family. And so we ended up in New Caney. Okay. Cold Springs, it was the intermediate school, 3rd through 5th. But I taught
where your parents live?
Yes, where my parents live. Well, basically all my family lives, all the Mastersons. Shout out to y'all. So we moved to New Caney. And again, I've always worked at Title I schools. Low income, highly Hispanic, if not highly Hispanic, pretty good mix of African American, Hispanic population. So that's how Cold Spring was. When I moved to New Caney, it was 80% Hispanic again. And taught math there, finished out my master's, had my first child. So it's kind of more of a low key. I finished my master's. I didn't do a lot of leadership then. But then they asked me to teach science for fourth grade, and I learned so much about science. Had another great teacher who's actually one of my relatives, Heather McKinney. I watched her teach 5th grade science, which she'd been teaching for a while. Saw some great hands-on stuff she was doing and took that in too. And then when I finished my master's, I was like, oh, I want a principalship. I want an AP, be an assistant principal, something. And then again, well, New Caney, these people have been here forever. No one's going to leave. You should really go to HISD if that's where you want to, if that's what you want to do. It's like, okay. So started just kind of putting my resume out there. And then that's how I ended up in HISD at the Russ School. I got hired on by Dr. Gutierrez now, who's an SSO in HISD.
What's SSO?
A school support officer.
Okay.
And he was the principal there while I was there for 4 years. And he hired me as the science lab teacher, and I was the lead science teacher as well. And again, like I came in, we had a lot of he had a lot of first year teachers, so I supported them and helped them out. He saw that, and basically we had a lot of arguments and fights our first couple of months. He was a new principal, and I'm very, like I said, I want my kids to have fun. I want it hands-on, and so I was like, this is how things need to be gone. And I was like, I don't know why he let me talk to him that way, but we had a good rapport and a relationship. And I think he knew that I knew what I was talking about, and I would look at data and say, you know what, based on the data, this is what we need to do. And so he actually pushed me out into the 5th grade classroom to help the teacher because she was struggling. And actually when we got at Russ, the scores were the kids barely passed. 50% of the kids passed science. And not a lot of, it was used to be commended. So they, like 90% of they got 90% on the test for tax.
Yeah.
So.
What's tax?
Oh, yeah. Texas Assessment of Knowledge and Skills.
Well, people may not know.
That's the old one.
Yeah. Well, before you go on, I want to ask, how did you deal with those families that came from Spanish-speaking families and not speaking Spanish yourself? What did you do?
Well, I always had support personnel around me, and that's, something that I will do at Stevens as well, is make sure there's staff that can support with the translating. But I've never had an issue because I think when you have a passion and you care about their kids, they can see it and they feel it. And when you are communicating with them on a regular basis, even when you can't do it effectively by yourself, they understand that you're there for what's best for their kid. And
aren't the parents still learning a little bit of English themselves,
yes.
just being here, not and then also from their children who are learning English in school. So there is still some words that they know when you're speaking in English, don't you think?
Yes, they get the gist of it.
The gist of it. And didn't you say at one time to me that you had children that were homeless?
The Rusk School had a high homeless population, and we were about 50% mobility, one of the highest in the district at the time.
What is mobility?
So that moving in and out. And so although our population of the school was only about 550 at the time, we might register actually 1,000 kids during the year because they would come in and stay for a day and leave. So we had kids that came in, have slept on the floor of the homeless shelter, the Star Hope shelter.
That's terrible.
Didn't have clothes, have their stuff in because all they're allowed to bring is like trash bags. And they have to store them. And so dealing with that was also an experience that, has gone with me to now where I'm at with Stevens.
Well, it sounds like you've got a well-rounded background.
Yes.
And we're going to talk more about your credentials and what your vision is for Stevens for this upcoming year. Please tweet your questions at DavidL2490, and we'll hear more from Jennifer after these messages.
As a parent, do you worry each and every time your young athlete takes to the playing field about what it would be like if an incident occurred during play resulting in a head injury? Not playing is not an option. Here at KBRZ Sports Radio, we share in your concerns and efforts to keep our young athletes safe and healthy. They are our future, and we must do our jobs as parents, coaches, and a radio station to promote keeping that future safe by offering a tried and true solution: functional cognitive baseline testing. We all have various abilities in cognition or brain function. Without a baseline, there is no way to truly indicate a problem caused by a concussion or head trauma. Let's face it, with all our sports heroes now coming forward with issues from head injuries suffered from the game, this is a risk none of us can afford. Check out temr.net for more information. That's temr.net.
KBRZSports.com is your home for Fort Bend ISD varsity sports, all Sugarland Scooters away games, Fort Bend Playbook, Fort Bend Spotlight, Coach's Corner with Fort Bend ISD Athletic Director Philip O'Neill, Fort Bend Food Rampage, and Skeeter Nation. Check back often at KBRZSports.com for the latest scheduled events, activities, and outings in the Fort Bend community. KBRZ Sports, kids, communities, and commerce.
Performance Pilates and GTC Gym and Training Center in Greatwood are your answer to getting spring break swimsuit ready. We offer private and small group personal training and Pilates classes. GTC now with 24-hour access. Call 281-224-0013. More information at greatwoodtrainingcenter.com or performance-pilates.com.
Hope you don't hear that sound at the 5th Annual Great Grown Up Spelling Bee on Thursday, September 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the University of Houston Sugarland. Support the Literacy Council of Fort Bend County by being a spectator bee. The cost is $45 at the door. Sponsorship and underwriting opportunities are available and range from $75 to $5,000. For more information, visit www.grownupbee.com or contact Christina Guerra at 281-240-8181. Your support can change a life.
Just because it's summertime doesn't mean KBRZ Sports is off the air. This summer is jam-packed with broadcasts of all Sugarland Skeeter away games and your favorite shows, including the Fort Bend Playbook, Food Rampage, Fort Bend Spotlight, and the newest show, Make It Happen with David Lorms. So click your browser on your PC or smartphone on over to KBRZSports.com. KBRZ Sports, kids, community, commerce.
And we're back talking to Jennifer Barrientez, the new principal at Lulu Stevens Elementary School in Oak Forest. And we just heard in the last segment about her well-rounded background. Seriously, Jennifer, you had a lot of experience that brought you to this point to make you a perfect fit for Stevens Elementary School. And I want to talk to you more about what kind of vision do you have for Stevens this upcoming year as the new principal?
I'm very much an instructional leader. I think, as you can tell through my conversations about, talking about teachers and growing them and developing them. And I'm a mentor leader. So my goal my vision for Stevens is to continue growing and developing our teachers instructionally so that when students attend Stevens, they get the best quality education possible. It's rigorous. It's hands-on, and also teaching teachers how to have fun in the classroom. It is very
That's so important.
It is a very stressful job that we have.
Yes.
And that's what I tell my teachers. You know, the day-to-day of teaching is stressful because it's not like you have one kid. You have 22 kids, and
Yes.
the teachers take that home. They worry about them like they're their own, and so I try to get them to relax and have fun during the day. And
What
let
are some
them know.
examples of that? What do you like to do?
I
Keg a beer?
I wish not. I think that just starts with me being in the classroom and having a good time with them.
Sure.
And showing them that they can relax. Yes, we take our job serious, but if we don't enjoy what we're doing and we don't love what we're doing, we're not being effective.
Sure.
And we're not helping the students that we're serving. And
Sure.
so just having a good time with them. I like to, have socials with my teachers, have dinner with them, get to know them on a personal level. And so I can have that rapport and relationship. And I think if I model that with them, then they'll know how to build that relationship with the students. And I was talking about it, Rusk, I didn't get to finish, but, we were at 50% when I stepped in at science. We ended up with 100% passing, and it wasn't because I was a great teacher. Yes, I'm a wonderful teacher, but
Yes, but I hear
it's
ya.
because I built a relationship with those kids. I
Yes.
told them they were not going to fail. They
Right.
were all going to be successful. And I don't think they had that. And it's not that their parents were bad, but, and didn't tell them that. It's just they have other things on their mind. They were hardworking. Some worked all day long, double shifts, 3 jobs. And so it was my job to make sure those kids knew they were going to be successful academically. And so I basically told them we're all going to get 100%. We're all going to pass. And we're going to have this big party at the end of the year. And we did. They all passed. And I rented a moonwalk water slide. One of those big bouncy
fun.
houses that has a water slide. That's what they wanted.
I want that.
Well, it was funny because originally they're like, we want McDonald's. I'm like, McDonald's? You all just passed this test. That's all you wanted, McDonald's? And so I had to talk them into it. And so rented it and had a party. And actually half of them also got committed, which means half of them got 90% or higher on their test as well.
That is
And
so awesome.
So
you're going to take that philosophy to Stevens.
yes, and I think just having fun and telling those kids that you believe in them, and instilling that in them, and really igniting their passion to learn. And I've always had great mentors, and they've always affected me and really pushed me to where I'm at. So and I didn't know at the time that they were mentors. They were just people that were helping me out, and I didn't realize until I'm looking back. My first teacher that I remember is a 4th grade teacher. I'm a math science person. A lot of people were into reading. She took me out. I was in the sport. She took me out and played basketball with me and talked to me about classwork and had a conversation and built that rapport.
Yeah.
And I still remember Miss Treadway, wherever you are. I think she was a counselor last time I checked. To this day, as being one of the coolest teachers because she built that relationship with me. And that's what I want my teachers to do with their kids. And even if not every day is fun, but I think if you can build that relationship and the kids know you care, they're going to enjoy their learning so much more.
What are some programs that you think are working at Stevens and then some that you would like to implement?
Well, I want to continue robotics. That's actually one of the things I did at the Rusk School and actually placed at every robotics competition.
What's robotics?
Robotics is a program the kids do, and I actually do it after school. But actually, I would love to get it implemented during the day and instructionally, and that's something that Harmony Public Schools that I was just working with does a lot of, and so that's something I would like to carry on to Stevens. But really continuing that on because there's a lot of kids that play sports after school and are into that, but we don't always promote the academic side or those kids that aren't into sports. And so actually when I was at Willis, which is where I was a principal previous, I brought robotics there, and I had so many kids we had to shut it down because so many kids wanted to be involved and we didn't have enough teacher sponsors.
Robotics is a focus on academia?
Yeah, well, because they'll build robots and they have to program it.
Oh, okay, that's what it means. Okay.
And they build Lego robots, and you can actually purchase them yourself if you want to buy them for your kids. Lego robots, and they have to program it to actually perform challenges on a playing field. And so at such a young age, kids are getting involved and to do the engineering part. And so, and that's actually one of our priorities right now in Houston is bringing in, oil and gas. It has so many jobs open right now.
Yes.
And is exposing those kids to that engineering aspect or that aspect of problem solving. And actually, that's one of the conferences I went to when I was at Harmony is about STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And how the oil and gas fields are really seeing a decline in qualified workers right now. And if they don't have to have degrees, they can come out of just having a high school diploma and they're train them. But we have to expose them and let kids know that that's an avenue for them.
Sure.
So I solely got all sidetracked about programs. As you know, see, I have a lot to say.
Yes.
As Stevens has, I just want to continue the great instruction that's going on there. I know we have ballet for Folklorico. Thank you. And that is something that the actual, the parents really enjoy. So we'll continue that. But I really, I was one of the parents at the meet and greets. I love the parent questions and the parents that attended. We're concerned about, was I going to be getting rid of any programs, especially the after school programs, that the kids partake in? And no, because that's an outlet for them. It builds character.
I agree.
And, if they're not getting that mentorship in the classroom, they can get it outside when they're engaged in robotics or soccer and they're building that relationship and rapport and having that connection with the teacher after school. And so, no, I'm not looking to remove any programs. I want to continue, and I just want to really expand on what's already going on at Stevens and make it better.
I think that's awesome. What about discipline? That's always a big issue with most schools. What is your philosophy on discipline, and how will you try to implement that at Stevens?
Yeah, and in the interview committee, actually, it was brought up that discipline might be a minor issue. I wouldn't say it's a big issue at Stevens, but it needed some work. And so actually that's one of the things I've reached out with the teachers and said, I want to have y'all come in. We'll have this conversation since it was mentioned in the interview committee. What do we need to work on? And so actually when I was at Rusk, I implemented a discipline system that really helped support the teachers. And, like I said, I'm really big on implementing systems that support the teachers and kind of takes a weight off their shoulders.
Sure.
And so the system was a system of documentation, really to get them to reflect on how they were handling discipline issues. But also, when a student came, there was all the documentation came with them, and so I was able to support them and back them up when I called parents.
Sure.
Because I was able to see it, and it wasn't just, here's your referral to the office, and there's no documentation, which is usually what happens.
Right.
They actually have to create a file of all this documentation so I can support them when I do talk to parents. So, I saw you conference with the teacher and you said you were willing to do this and this and come up and support in the classroom, but you're not. And so really giving those parents the pushback that they need sometimes to help the teachers and support them in the classroom.
But if a student is being sent to the office all the time or being expelled, sometimes they love it when they're expelled.
Yeah.
They're not learning.
That is true.
And if they're expelled, the school's not getting paid by the state. So it sounds like you have programs in mind that are going to try to eliminate that as much as possible, but still have some type of, repercussion for bad behavior, some type of program in place that will teach them, okay, that was wrong. This is right. Am I correct?
Yeah, and I always say that. I think I said this in the interview. I talk about relationships. Relationships go a long way with kids. If you are having that conversation and really getting to know the kids and why these behaviors occur, then they're not going to occur anymore because you're going to be aware of what's their triggers, what's causing them to get or feel this way, and you're going to realize what you need to do to overcome it. And so really having that relationship with the kids and just talking with them, I feel like we're so busy with our day-to-day, we don't talk to kids anymore.
Right.
We don't get to know them. We don't get to know why they do things or how they feel about certain things.
Sure.
And so really getting teachers to take the time to talk to their kids. It starts with greeting them at the door and asking them how their morning's going, because you can tell when a kid walks through the door if they're having a rough morning, and you need to know, okay, maybe I should let him kind of decompress and ask him later what's going on. And start it off the morning a good note instead of waiting until something he explodes or has a bad time.
Well, I think you have an incredible energy, and it sounds like your message is that you're all about creating relationships, supporting teachers, and building programs that are going to be fun. And I'm sure that's going to be a welcome reception to anyone that may feel like they're in a rut But let's talk about your community relationships. I know that Justin Gordon of Justin Gordon Homes donated a very expensive sign at the elementary school.
Yes, and we are so appreciative of Justin Gordon for the donation. It was so kind and generous, and I wasn't there at the time, but I couldn't imagine, how happy they were to get that donation, and I love seeing the sign up now. But a big thank you to him, because it wouldn't have been possible without him, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him, but for anybody to extend that amount of money to the school and to the community, because it not only helps the school, it helps the community with the way that the school looks and the communication that aspect. I can post that up there and scroll within seconds what's going on and remind parents that we're having a parent meeting. And so it just means a lot to me, and to know that I have that support of him and the other community members. I know there's so many other community members.
John Harvey being one, didn't
Yes.
He's helped get a lot of things for the school.
I think I'm going to have to hire John Harvey as my personal assistant.
Yeah, he's
a go-getter.
He hosts the Stand for Stevens Facebook page. Hi, John. And y'all should like that page, because he has some incredible information. Okay, so in our next segment, we're going to take questions from our listeners. Please tweet them at DavidL2490, and we'll be back with Jennifer after these messages.
Texas Community Referral Network is all about the community. Have access to the best businesses on our local websites and numerous money-saving offers on our free mobile app. Go to tcrnhouston.com to find your community website and visit your mobile app store to install the free TCRN app and start saving today. TCRN, connecting you with the community.
Tired of going to the same restaurants every week? Want to know what new eateries have opened up recently? Tune in to the Food Rampage as Dominique and Priya dish about their favorite restaurants. Catch us live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on kbrzsports.com and iHeartRadio for the live show. Be sure and follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook at Food Monsters. Join us as we rampage through the Houston area.
Looking for a way to be involved in Fort Bend ISD varsity sports? Want to sponsor a team, game, or hear your child's name mentioned during a Fort Bend ISD varsity game? KBRZ Sports can broadcast your business or personal message for a reasonable price. Contact our sales department at www.kbrzsports.com for more information on how you can be part of Fort Bend ISD Sports. KBRZ Sports, connecting Fort Bend County business owners, families, and Fort Bend ISD varsity sports.
Do you trust your insurance agent? Hi, my name is David Lorms. Anyone can sell you insurance, but I have the unique perspective and experience of being a former claims professional. It's when you need to use your insurance that you really depend on a seasoned professional where customer satisfaction is number one. I can be reached at 713-688-8669, and all calls are rolled to my personal cell phone after hours. You can also visit lormsinsuranceservices.com. Hey, I have to sleep at night, so I need to make sure you're covered.
With all the hype and true doctor reports on concussions and head trauma caused by athletics, are you burdened by having to decipher what it all means to find a solution to best protect your child? Cognitive baseline testing, a procedure that takes about 30 minutes, gives a baseline of cognition function, response, memory, and motor functionality of your child. The results are given to you and your primary care physician, and in the event of a head trauma of any kind, the test procedure can be applied again with the results of the baseline to compare it to. This is the only way you can have a true indication if damage of any kind has occurred. The days of how many fingers am I holding up is not good enough. Certainly doesn't give me as a parent the comfort and security I need to worry less while my kiddo is growing into the champion of their dreams.
And we're back with Jennifer Barrientez, the new principal at Lulu Stevens Elementary School in Oak Forest. And we are answering some questions that have been tweeted to us. And one of the questions that was tweeted to us is really asking, what is your opinion on how to handle a teacher that is consistently having low performance scores? How would you handle that?
And, I always find this question difficult to answer because I want to know the background of the teacher. I want to know how many years have they been teaching, what's been done before me, and have those conversations. And what are they going through in life? Because we want to understand people are human and they have a life. So if they're going through a rough time, I'm understanding of that. But when it comes down to it, it's about the kids. But also I want to support my teachers. And so having conversations with them about data, and that's something that we'll do at Stevens. We have PLC communities. That's learning communities, professional learning communities. And that's where we'll sit down and have discussions on best practices, look at data. Are we serving our kids the best way? Give teachers insight on what we think as administrators is happening in their classroom, have open conversations. Through those conversations, I can tell if a teacher's really doing the best practices and doing what they're asked. But really supporting them. If they need, I will develop them as much as possible. But when it comes down to it, I can only push so much. Like I said, I can't give you that passion to want to do what's best for kids. And so if that passion's not there anymore, maybe Stevens isn't the place for you. And that's a conversation to have.
Or the subject they're teaching.
Yeah, or the subject they're teaching. And that's something, it just depends on where the teacher's at in their career and what's happened before. I really need to know background information, but the thing I express, interviews or parents that ask that question is, I'm going to do what's best for the kids of Stevens. Teachers are adults, and that's their job. And if they're not doing their job, then I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that the students at Stevens have the best teachers.
Well, and I think that you're going to be a good person for that, because if you're not following your passion, sometimes you're just blindly going through the day every day. And it sounds like you're someone that's going to help someone determine whether they're passionate or not. And if they're not, they're going to move on.
Yeah, and I think too, teachers lose that passion because it's such a stressful job. And so I feel like part of my job as a leader of Stevens is to reignite that continually, going back to why are they here? What was their purpose of becoming a teacher? And if it's not for kids, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing here. But I really take my job as an advocate for students very seriously, and that's first and foremost to me. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing right by all students.
That's
not
important.
One student, not this student, but all students.
So what would be your suggestion to those teachers who may find themselves in a rut?
Find a mentor that ignites your passion.
Wow, that is powerful.
And I can be that mentor. And that's something that I'm willing to do, is to go out and support the teachers and do as much as I can. If you don't feel comfortable, some people don't feel comfortable coming to their principal.
Right.
Go to a coworker, go to a teacher, go to another campus.
You can have more than one mentor.
And you can find in other places. It doesn't have to be in the work environment. Mentors come in all shapes and sizes. You never know when you're going to come across. One of the things we talked about on the break was that God put people in my life at different times that I did not even know what they were doing for me, but looking back now, I go, oh, that person led me on this path, like I talked about. I've had several mentors that I came across, and, even as a child, that I didn't even realize, people I don't remember their names, but that helped me through difficult situations and led me to be where I'm at today. And so really going out and finding a mentor that's going to continue to help you ignite your passion.
Find a mentor that will ignite your passion. That is amazing. I love that, and I'm going to use that quote.
Go ahead.
I'll give you credit.
You have to, thank you.
I will give you credit. Okay, so another question that was tweeted to us is, what improvements to the school grounds are planned? Do you know?
Oh, I have a lot, and I'm grateful you brought that up, because one of the big things is we're in the process of getting a Spark Park. And so if you don't know what a Spark Park is, it's basically going to be an add-on to our existing facilities at the Roslyn, where you go by, you see the hard top and the playgrounds. And so they're going to add on and just do some beautification, also add in some functionality for the PE teacher. But we have to raise funds for that, and it's only going to be as fabulous as much money as we can raise. And so we're shooting for $250,000, and that's like our dream Spark Park.
Yes.
But and I know that Mr. Harvey, John Harvey,
he's also the head of the PTO.
Yeah, he is the treasurer.
Okay.
Yeah, but he is part of the Spark Park committee, and so he is really gung-ho about fundraising for us. I know he's working really hard, but really trying to develop some ways to bring in the community, because my big thing is It's on Roslyn. That is going to be a community park as well. Part of the Spark Park is it has to be open to the community. So parents can come in and walk on the track and bring their kids to play after school.
Oh, that's great.
And so it's going to help, not that y'all need any help with increasing property value, but it's going to be a selling point for the community even more. To have this nice looking Spark Park that you can walk down the road and go to. And enjoy just family time. And we're also looking at doing some other creative things that we could have park nights or concerts in the park once it's developed.
And the school is smack dab in the middle of residential areas, so it will be accessible to so many families. I really like that idea. Is there some parking?
Yes.
That's gonna be...
Right now, the parking has been put on hold, but we are in the process of, we were under construction for a parking addition on the left side of the school. I'm drawing a blank on the name of is that Saxon?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. Very good.
I'm just directionally challenged. Saxon, and there was a concern about safety with the city of Houston, and so they stopped construction, and we had a pull-in parking, and they want it to be kind of parallel, so when you're backing back out, you're not backing into the street, so there wouldn't be any accidents. So they're redesigning that, and I should be getting the redesign soon, but they're working on that just so we can have more parking for the families when they come to the school events, but also that will help with Spark Park too, so you won't have to walk. You can come and park in our new parking lot and be able to go in and enjoy your time with your kids.
Now, some of the community events that the schools held is like Science Night, and money is raised for that. So where does that money go to?
That money goes to continuing Science Night, and then also Mr. Harvey.
Yes.
They purchase T-shirts for the kids.
Yes.
When they attend. So some of the money goes towards that. He gets food trucks to come in, which is an amazing idea. That was awesome. I heard about.
Incredible.
And so it goes back to the kids. All the money raised, and it's like, any money that we raise is going to go back to the kids. The Spark Park's going to, I think, just ignite too when kids come to school and they see this beautiful Spark Park. They're going to have this sense of pride, and this is my school. That's my park I get to go enjoy. And they're going to want to come and hang out after school and bring their families. And that's the kind of sense of community. I know that's, listening to Sean's,
it's all yours from last week.
Thank you.
Mighty Burger.
Talking about how Oak Forest is such a tight-knit, almost like that small town feel.
Yes.
And that's what I think, Stevens in the Spark Park and some of the additions that we want to do will really add on to that feeling. And that's what I really hope for the Spark Park. That's like a small town. We can go and you can relax, have picnics with your family at the Spark Park and really enjoy it.
Another question that came in is what are your plans on continuing or developing relationships with the community?
Attend your Oak Business Association meetings.
Yes.
I'm sorry I missed that one, but
the Oak Business Association.
Really just getting out and getting to know them and really inviting them into the school. I have some great ideas of business partners and community partners coming in mentoring kids. It's not all about funds, and I don't expect everybody to be able to donate money, but they can come and donate their time. Or we've had schools before where we've had businesses that actually required their employees to come and donate 30 minutes of their day to read or just mentor kids.
That's a great idea.
And so bringing in some stuff like that, just if they, HIC has their new literacy by 3, and part of that's a read aloud. So if they just want to come in and read aloud to kids, I want to get them involved as much as possible and just come on and be engaged with the kids and what's going on in the classroom.
Right. Well, I think that's awesome. I know that I have worked closely with Lulu Stevens, and I plan to continue that. But I challenge businesses out there to $100, $200, whatever it is. It all goes to a great cause, and it helps students. And, the students are our future, and their education is extremely important. And the environment where they work in, or where they learn in, and this is my opinion, and where they learn in, and the teachers that are teaching them will impact them forever. So it's important to invest.
Yep, as you hear me today, I'm calling out teachers that I had. But also, I want to take time to thank you because those who don't know, David gave me on my first day of the job a $500 donation for the attendance incentive. And, attendance is a big deal. That's how we get paid. But if kids aren't in school, they can't learn.
Right.
And so
providing that incentive is so important. If it's just a gift card, if it's a bicycle, whatever it is, I want to promote kids to come to school. And so I so appreciate your continued support and donation for that program.
Well, you're so welcome. I come from a family of teachers, and I know that the schools are paid based upon attendance, but they're not given extra money in the budget to incentivize students to attend. And so by donations from the community, you can reward students for perfect attendance. It makes them want to go to school. Therefore, they're learning. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. Yep. And that's just one small way that I like to invest in the future. And that's why I like to challenge other businesses. If I can do it, so can other people. And it's a worthy cause. And if you haven't met Jennifer Barrientez, you need to. She's just a ball of energy and a lot of fun. And she's got some great ideas. But she can't speak Spanish. No.
I cannot. But I have great people at my office that can for me.
Yes, you do. I've met those people. And you also have a great staff in the office who I've worked with before. And you're pretty lucky, really, to have.
And I would say that's one thing that I've heard about Stevens that I don't look to change. They are a tight community, teachers, staff. They help each other out. And that's the kind of environment I want. And I want to continue that and extend it on to we're helping the community, we're helping the parents, and make sure that we are, I used to be schools were kind of the glue to the community. And that's, I want to be that glue. I want to make sure that we're the ones bringing in all the pieces together and keeping the community going.
Well, Jennifer, I have to say thank you today. For being on the show. I love the fact that you are all about supporting the teachers, that you have a message of building relationships with teachers and the students and the community, that you have quite you get the vision for the school, and that your motto is to find a mentor that will ignite your passion. I think that's powerful. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
I want to remind the listeners to tune in next week at kbrzsports.com, where we have guests Billy Hartman Sr., Billy Hartman Jr., and Brett Hartman, who will be on the show. So tweet your questions at DavidL2490. And remember, just don't sit there. Make it happen.